Hello everyone, welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more exciting true crime content. Today we look at a betting shop worker who's been jailed for 12 years after pretending to be a victim of an £11,000 armed robbery that she had helped to plan. Natalie Solari, aged 30, appeared terrified in its CCTV footage when two robbers burst into the bookmakers in Thanet, Kent on August 30th. Tyler McNeill, 26, and Daniel O'Reilly, 39, wore masks and carried imitation firearms as they robbed the shop. A court heard how the pair threatened Miss Solari, who was working behind the counter as the assistant manager. They were seen demanding Miss Solari empty the till and fill their bags with cash whilst pointing the weapon in her direction. She pressed the panic alarm and hid under the desk where she sobbed uncontrollably, according to witnesses. The men fled the scene in a black Renault Megane that was being driven by 29-year-old Simon Bennett after bagging more than £11,000 in cash. Firearms officers from Kent Police attended the scene and carried out inquiries in the area in order to locate the suspects. Two men matching their descriptions were arrested at the same day but later found not to be involved, and detectives from the Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate continue to investigate. Following the review of CCTV, police said it was clear that there were 3 people involved. 2 who carried out the robbery, and 1 who was waiting outside to drive them away. Mr. Bennett and Mr. McNeill were identified on camera in Canterbury earlier that day, which is where the vehicle used in the robbery was picked up. Their phone data uncovered that the alleged victim, Miss Solari, who could be involved after Mr. McNeill called Miss Solari on the day of the robbery. Miss Solari was also linked to Mr. O'Reilly. On September the 21st, 2018, the getaway vehicle was clamped by the DVLA in St. Luke's Avenue, Ramsgate, for lack of road tax and taken to a compound. Police found that Mr. Bennett and Mr. McNeill's DNA was in the vehicle. On December the 11th, 2018, Miss Solari of Maynard Avenue in Margate and Mr. Bennett of no fixed address were arrested in connection with the robbery. Mr. McNeill of Queen's Road in Aylsham was arrested in Maidstone on February the 16th, and Mr. O'Reilly of Beverley Gardens in Downchurch was interviewed by police on May 13th. Mr. McNeill and Mr. O'Reilly each pleaded guilty to charges of robbery and the possession of an imitation firearm. Mr. Bennett and Miss Solari were also charged with the robbery but denied the offences. Miss Solari claimed she did know Mr. McNeill but had no idea that he was responsible for the robbery and had not recognised his voice at the time, police said. Mr. Bennett told police that Miss Solari had planned the robbery and sent Mr. McNeill messages at the time telling him the safe was unlocked and that they should hurry up. Mr. Bennett told officers that although he drove Mr. McNeill and Mr. O'Reilly to the bookmakers that day, he didn't know at the time that he was part of a robbery. Their trial concluded on June 17th at Canterbury Crown Court, where both Mr. Bennett and Miss Solari were found guilty by a jury. All 4 thieves were sentenced together at the same court on Tuesday. Miss Solari received 12 years in prison, Mr. Bennett received 5 years in prison, and Mr. McNeill received 8.5 years in prison, and Mr. O'Reilly received 7.5 years in prison. Detective Inspector James Derham from the Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate said, "These people worked together to steal from and deceive Miss Solari's employer. They carried out a robbery that would have looked terrifying to the innocent and unsuspecting members of the public, both inside and outside the bookmakers at that time." Miss Solari claimed to be a victim in this ordeal, but was caught out due to the diligence and hard work of officers investigating the case. Thankfully, a jury saw through her account along with Mr. Bennett's. Their gamble didn't pay off, and all 4 of them will now spend time in prison. Violent crimes will simply not be tolerated, and Kent Police remain committed to identifying those people involved and gathering all the evidence possible to ensure a conviction. What do you think of Miss Solari's story, and the innocent people that didn't know the weapons weren't real? Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and a share, and leave any thoughts or suggestions you have in the comments section. We love to read through them all. And if you're new but enjoy UK true crime content, then subscribe to see when our newest video releases. And as always, stay safe.